Bakla!
Hi everyone, welcome to Buckle Up Podcast. I'm Natalia Earle and I'm a certified business and life coach that loves talking to people. I'm fascinated by humans and how our brain works. What is it that makes a decision good or bad, and how does that decision ultimately shape our path and destiny? Everyone loves to talk about success, but what about the flip side? How about adversity, failure? It's such a big and often necessary part of life, and it's simply unavoidable. So I invite you to join me on this inspiring, honest, unpolished interview show with breathtakingly real conversations that go deep on setbacks and hardships that are part of the puzzle that ultimately lead to growth, discovery of inner greatness, and what makes us resilient.
Bakla!
Grab your helmet and buckle up, people. It's going to be a bumpy ride, but what a ride it will be. Today we are back with part 2 with January Donovan, who is the founder of the Women's School and the Wholeness Coaching School. She's a #1 best-selling author, an entrepreneur, and a mother of 8 children. She has over 20 years of experience training women. January had a bold dream to build a school designed to train women with the practical skills to manage their lives. She spent 15 years training women for free before realizing that in order to reach millions, she had to learn to build a business and do so while prioritizing her family. The business grew from zero to a multimillion-dollar company, reaching 40 countries in under 3 years and landing her the title as one of Forbes Magazine's top coaches. She then went on to found the Wholeness Coaching School, where she teaches men and women to build their own coaching business using mindset and skill set training to design every part of their life. She co-founded the men's school with her husband and quickly expanded to the women's school in Español. January believes that life without skill is hard. Skills give us choices. We suffer unnecessary overwhelm, stress, and anxiety simply because we are undertrained. We battle feeling like a failure when in reality the world has failed to prepare us. We can no longer afford to hand over a generation of men and women who doubt their worth and give up on who they were created to be. We cannot afford a life without training. We need to skill up.
We can't teach our children about failure and dreams unless we're actually pursuing our dreams and that we are modeling failure for them.
Yes.
Because we can tell them to, hey, go chase your dreams. Hey, failure is part of progress. But if they don't see us do it, it becomes knowing and not actually being. They experience who we are. And I think that's the best way for us to model for our children.
Absolutely, 100%. And one of my favorite sayings by my friend Dave is like, failure is the most important classroom you'll ever attend.
Yeah, it's really true. Honestly, I have learned from my failures and, especially building a business, because I didn't start out learning to build a business. I was telling Jack Ryan the other day, I said, how much I've failed. I was telling him part of our business process. I said, I failed so much in my capacity to hire the right people that I lost $500,000 in a short amount of time because I hired the wrong people. They're not responsible. I failed in my ability to find the right people. That's my lack of skill set. I said, but that's what you do. You fail when you're not skilled and you learn from it. The biggest thing that I find here, Natalia, is that what we train in the Wholeness Coaching School is how to design every part of your life as a man or a woman. And that's what we train, what we call our strategist in, is that how can you take a man and say, listen, it's not just about making money and it's not just about your career, because what good is achieving the world and losing parts of yourself? You need to make sure that you're happy with who you are, that you're exercising, that you're eating healthy, that spiritually you're in harmony, emotionally, that you love the home you go into. It's like you teach them an integrated version of themselves, and the same thing with women. So that's, I think, the biggest factor that we have is that what we offer the men and women is an integrated version of themselves. It's about being whole. It's about the goal is so that we can be fulfilled, which means that we are filling every part, what we call our arena, every part of our life, and we're designing it intentionally. We're building the skills and we're filling it up. So not, you know, parts of us are not depleted, because the reality is that, if you're depleted at work and you're exhausted and you're burnt out, it impacts your marriage, it impacts your home life, it impacts your friendship, your capacity to maybe manage your emotion. We're not this sort of disintegrated human being, although sometimes we operate, or we've been conditioned to operate that way. And I think it's time for us to always see ourselves with eyes of wholeness, and that, it's only a matter of time. If this part of life isn't working, it's going to inevitably impact the other parts. What we want to do is very intentionally design how we want every part of our life. And how we do that is that we give you sort of a universal blueprint,
People get in that like hamster wheel,
yes.
of like waking up Monday through Friday, doing the same thing, going to work on the weekends, they either party or they're with their families, and it's like same thing week after week. And I think I've seen people personally that they make up these stories around their lives and tell themselves these stories. Oh, nothing's wrong, everything is fine, like I'm happy, when in reality you can see how miserable their
Yeah.
life is from day to day.
Yeah. Or it's a midlife crisis,
Right.
and that's what we start to see. And then we realize, oh, what just happened to me, and I think I honestly feel like women and men wake up to this reality because they are so undertrained. Like,
Mm.
I can't expect them to know how to think about their life, to know how to process their life, what they want. The one, it's not like we go to school and be like, let's learn how to identify what we want and don't want. No, I mean, there's literally, it's amazing to me that we go through decades of education without even considering, what do you want and don't want? I mean, think
Mm.
about that.
Yes,
What
and
do you
those are
want?
such important questions.
Yes, because not only do we consider that, it changes as we grow. So we
Yes.
have to be constantly changing and processing what we don't want every single season of our life. But some people, I know what I find is sort of, we have this pendulum where we indulge or ignore what we want. And both, we suffer for it. We ignore, and that's what we call maturity, is having the capacity to choose our highest and best self, to know what we want, but to not ignore or indulge what we want, but rather to integrate it in our highest self. And that's really a process. And we teach a lot of things based on formula. We have a fulfillment formula that we teach men and women. And, I teach in formula. A, I'm a teacher, but B, because we want to replicate it. We want to heal generations, because what we're seeing is that a mother's anxious and so is her daughter. So, and it then becomes a triple effect. Her mom has no boundaries, another, because you cannot give what you do not have. And so if we can give women and men formula and how to design their life, how to discover their dreams, how to decide who they need to become, what we can have is a generational transformation, because it's a replicable skill formula, what we teach, that can be handed down for generation. And it's about conditioning. So now we have the formula, now it's conditioning. And that's really why we believe that we need to have a guide and accountability. And that's really our model in the women's school, is that, there's a lot of courses out there, but unless somebody holds you accountable to make sure you see it through, most courses, 99.9%, doesn't even get finished. But then the support community is key. We want to be surrounded with people who believe in us, who encourage us, who allow us to fail and pick us back up. That is so crucial. And I think those three ingredients are missing: a proven model of how, a guide to help us, and a community to sustain us.
Yes. What's love to you?
Love is to will the good of the other. So I think that we have cheapened the way we use the word love.
Mhm.
I tell my children this all the time. I said, you hear people saying, I love you, or, my husband and I do a Peloton every morning. And my children are there, around, and I love you. They're like, I love you. And I tell them, I said, I don't think they understand the magnitude of love, because you can't love something you do not know. Love requires knowledge. I can't love Mary next door if I don't know what Mary is. I could maybe like Mary, I could honor Mary, I could see, but to love is to will that good of the other person that you know. And so we have to be very I would say delicate and strategic and how we use the word love, you know, so that we don't just toss it around. So for me, love is to really sincerely will the good of the other, that regardless of what you can do for me, I want you to have a beautiful and meaningful life.
Yes.
And that is genuine, that's coming from a place of sincerity. Um, so I think love is a most powerful thing in the world, you know, that we could die for love, we could suffer for love. I mean, I don't think we need to cheapen what love is.
And what's wealth to you?
Is an abundance of time, treasure, and talent for the sole purpose of contribution. And I think that's, you know, it cannot be limited to money because
Mhm.
um, the greatest gift of what wealth is peace of mind and time. And I think we've reduced it to money. So wealth is actually having the capacity to contribute, you know, to the lives around us. And that's why true wealth is not about hoarding. It's actually about giving. Because what we want is to live a life of meaning and fulfillment. And when we're hoarding, it's selfish and we feel unfulfilled. But when we can build and we can cultivate our time, our talent, our treasure for the purpose of being able to give back, that's true wealth.
Absolutely. And what are your